Well, welcome to the 2024 BOE Candidate Forum. I'm Celia.
And I'm Elsie, and we will be your host tonight.
Well, lucky you, you sat in the left seat, so you'll be starting our questions. And then each time a new question's asked, it'll start in the middle seat, this is the next question, and then the right seat, the next question, and continue in that rotation.
Tonight you will be asked 10 questions, and we'll have 90 seconds to answer each one. Our timer, Demi, will raise her hand at the when you have 30 seconds left to respond.
And then to our audience, thank you for joining us tonight. And as a reminder, the questions will be just asked by the two of us, but we appreciate you being here to listen.
All right, let's kick it off with the first question. How does your background qualify you to be a member of the Board of Education? Starting off with Ashley.
So, I'm Ashley. I'm from Sparta. I graduated from Sparta High School in 1997. I have two children in the district right now. One is a junior, one is in 8th grade, and I do have a daughter that has also graduated from Sparta High School. She's attending college in Florida now. So just being very familiar with Sparta, I still see lots of the teachers around. I've made many friendships with teachers and people in the community. I have spent the last year on the Board of Education. I have really enjoyed learning all that is involved in the processes that go into making the decisions and meeting lots of people out in the community, asking questions about what's going on with the board and what's going on with the schools. So I would like to continue doing so. I've really enjoyed learning all of this.
Thank you.
Just go. Is that okay?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Cool. Okay. How does your background qualify you to be a board member? I think for me, the last 3 years of serving on the board has really prepared me more than anything else. I'm just finishing up this first term here, and unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I'm currently the longest tenured board member, and that's problematic for a lot of reasons, especially if it's a goal that, deterring the progress of public education, reducing institutional memory, transferring some of those traditions and systems and processes between board members and leadership, so it's not starting from scratch. Like, there's real ramifications to that, and I hope to continue to be part of those solutions moving forward if given the chance again. I've lived in Sparta for 71% of my life, approximately. I have worked the last 3 years to really better understand the district. I think next Monday I'm going to be going to sales all day, and so after that I will have spent an entire day volunteering at every single building in the district to get to know not only the students and what they're going through and what a classroom looks like in 2024, but also the employees, and getting to connect with Jeff from the Montessori custodian to working with, even the EAs and working with some of the different students there. So lastly, my professional career is in higher education, and so working closely with nonprofits through those roles and working with students both before and after they show. Thank you for the time. I'm going to do that a lot. I'm apologize in advance. 90 seconds is, I'm stopping it. Okay, sorry. Go.
Hi, my name is David Burnett. I'm a retired physician and physician executive, and have a public health background and worked in government. I graduated from Sparta High School in 1970. I've been living back in the community now for just under 2 years. I spent half my career in private practice and understand the value of strong relationships and how they need to be there in the community. The other half of my career was devoted to leadership positions in the healthcare industry, and I spent a dozen years as medical director of the Wisconsin Department of Corrections. There I was in charge of healthcare operations, responsible for those individuals incarcerated in the prison system. I supervised most of the healthcare staff there, and also had responsibility for a budget of over $100 million.
You can keep going. That's just 30 seconds.
I've served as a board member on a number of healthcare organizations, including hospitals, and was also on the board of a Waldorf school in Waukesha. I understand the role of a board member, and I believe I would be an asset and a resource for the board and administration. I have experience and have developed good judgment over the years. Thank you.
Time.
All right, second question is, why are you running for school board? And this will start with Allison.
Yeah, okay. The short version is that the job isn't done. I thought it would be a good idea to run 3 years ago. Ran on a promise to serve all of our kids in our entire community, but especially focusing on some of our vulnerable neighbors who aren't often at the table for the discussions and the decisions. So when I try to make those decisions, I consider, you know, how they'll impact people at every level, being able to, from the students to the families to the staff, but also visiting townships across the district, especially with this whole referendum thing happening, right? Being able to really get an understanding about some of what's happening. And in those conversations, I just wanted to share last week really drove that home because there were some comments made about $100,000 homes don't exist anymore, right? And that was in the slides, it's on the handouts. And that just really rubbed me the wrong way. It was a statement that was made in 2 separate townships and really went unchallenged, and because it was part of a bigger conversation, that really it just kept going. And to me, that statement alone erases about, what, 50% of our community's free and reduced lunch. Like, we have people in our community that need a voice, and I'm trying to do the best I can to make decisions with that, and that drove home that I need to continue doing that and continue learning and growing and talking to people along the way. So hopefully we have to, not hopefully, but we have to think about the future, not just right now. So that's why I want to run again, because it's my kids are coming through the district, all of our kids, but that success really depends on us moving forward together, not going back and, you know, the good old days. It's 2024, so we got to move forward, and that's what I'm hoping we've done and continue to do if given the opportunity.
The main reason I want to run for school board is I want to give back to the community. As I said before, I'm a 1970 graduate of Sparta High School, and my father graduated here in 1931, back in what used to be the old junior high school, and now I believe it's apartments. I also practiced medicine here in Sparta from 1980 to 83, so I have deep ties to the community. I want our children and grandchildren to have the best education possible and the resources and support to do that.
I'm running for school board because, as I mentioned, I do have children in the district, and I do believe the children are our future, not just as, you know, the school, but our community. They're going to be our doctors, our lawyers, our nurses, our teachers, and we need to give them everything they need to succeed. And I would like to see Sparta be known as more of a place that people want to visit. They want their kids to grow up. They want their kids to go to school here. And I want to make this the best that we can for just everybody, not just the students, but everybody. And it needs to start with the kids and giving them the best education we can.
Question number 3, what would you like to accomplish as a board member?
I guess I'm up first. I gave this some thought, and I've got 3 things that I'd like to accomplish. One, I would like to see a capital projects referendum passed to ensure safety of our students and maintaining our current buildings. I'd also like to be a resource to administration. I think my background lends myself to being a good resource. I'd also like to work with legislative representatives to work on increasing state funding to school districts, especially one like ours.
One of my biggest goals as a board member would be to decrease the open enrollment out of our school district. Right now, we have about 10% of our students that are open enrolling out to other districts. And keeping those students here or preventing them from enrolling out would make a huge difference, you know, in the funding, even in sports, I think a lot of our athletes do choose to go to other schools because they have better opportunities there. And so it's frustrating for me to see this happening. And that is, I guess, my biggest goal, to keep the students here, keep the enrollment up, and make Sparta a great school that kids want to go to and their parents want them to go to.
For me, what would you like to accomplish? I think, again, the short version, because I'm really good at rambling, is to leave it better than I found it. That's it. I firmly believe I'm one person on a team of 7, but actually we have a team of 4 amazing directors. We have a cabinet, we have leadership, we have educators, from Vicky in the kitchen at Montessori to Dan in the gymnasium at Southside, and those are all people that help us accomplish what the district does every single day, because they get up every day and show up and keep showing up. And so I think any accomplishment is shared with everybody. The role of a board member is really not a solo job, and if it becomes one, I'm worried about that direction. But specifically for me, I want to continue to be active in helping build better relationships. I think that's been a priority for us over the last couple of years especially, but between the district, the community, our employees, across the board, right? Our students are why we're all here, and I want to really try to continue bridging that gap and help our community understand how education's evolved. So I graduated in 2007, and it's very different since then. And people are making decisions on very important things, and the best we can do is continue to have these conversations, being able to call constituents. I don't know, called like hundreds of people over the weekend and left messages and asked questions, and really trying to just break down those barriers so that there are less excuses to not knowing and not being engaged, because Sparta's going to be the best when we're all doing it together.
Question 4, in the Sparta Area School District, what do you see going well, and what are some things that you'd like to see improve?
I think things that are going well in our district now is we are being more transparent with our constituents. We're making a big effort to keep people informed on what is going on, the whys, the what ifs, and how. And I think that is leading to more trust from our constituents in the board and in the district in general. Some things I'd like to see improve, I'm just gonna keep going with that, building more trust, being more open, communicating more, finding different ways to communicate and include our constituents in what we have going on.
Sorry. So, okay, I'm going to start with improvements. I think one that I just said that mentioned community engagement. I think for me, reading the writing on the wall, unless the state funding system changes, we're going to do a lot more referendums between now and whenever that gets upgraded to hopefully a more favorable situation for Sparta, who's currently 426 out of 426 school districts when it comes to per pupil funding. So that community engagement is going to be crucial every step of the way, not just when we have our hands out asking for money, right, but all along the way to celebrate and collaborate and really hopefully build some more innovative partnerships. The other improvement was SEL, social emotional learning, not only for our students but our staff. I think supporting the mental health, being able to develop those resilient skills for our students so that they're successful when they leave Sparta, and for our staff, right, to be able to be in a better position to handle the changing dynamics and the stress that comes with working in education today. The things that are doing well, lots of things. Educator turnover has reduced. We were up over 50 or 60 in 2022. Right now we're on pace between 20 and 30 for this year. Referendum budget planning, I don't know about you all, but this cycle, kudos to Sam, Leah, everyone else too, been a lot better than 2 years ago, and how can we continue to improve that? Community engagement, staff engagement, another thing that we got surveys, the community survey, we're getting more surveys from students, from parents, from staff, so we're getting foundational data to make benchmarks to assess how we're doing, and I'll stop there, sorry. There's like 4 more bullets, so. Yeah, right.
I've been back in this community for a little less than 2 years, and I see many things going well. I've been able to observe and talk to people in the community. I see a cohesive board and administration working hard to keep up the quality of our education provided to our children. We have strong educational opportunities, including Montessori, STEM Academy, and Sales Charter, along with early childhood programs. We have a strong high school with successful graduates, and I think the strength of the school speaks for itself. The community sports, the backpack program, the facility study was an important accomplishment to help prioritize the needs of the district. There's a lot of good things going on here. Things I see as need to improve, and I think it's already being done, is the transparency that was mentioned, and a good job of getting out the information on the referendum. I guess the big area I see is staff retention with competitive salaries, and it appears that we need some improvement in achievement in reading. But I also believe we need to strive to continue with advancement of standards-based grading.
All right, going on to question 5. How will you better the communication between the district and the community?
Okay. So from my experience on the board, I know that we will never reach and agree with everyone all the time, especially when there's people in the community actively hoping our district fails. Like, I'm only one person and I can control what I can control. So there's that piece that I wanted to start with, but I think for the bettering the communication, whatever we choose to do to better the communication, it will not be successful if it's only implemented by board members and school district employees. We need community participation and good faith to continue improving the discourse in all of the decisions that we make. A couple years ago, we saw historic voter turnout, right, for the referendum, still only in the 30-40% range, right? And so that means 6 people sat home and said no thanks. And that's how I think having those conversations, everyone in this room talking to their family around Easter dinner, whatever that looks like, but being able to be engaged through the voting process to help us all make better decisions for our community. And then I think that reciprocal, like that back and forth, right? Being able to have that investment through that good faith collaboration between the district and the community, so that it's a pivotal part of all of the best performing districts in the state. It follows the results. And so from my lens, it's been missing in Sparta for a while, maybe. For about 20 years, according to the township of one of the places we went to, right? That hadn't had a visitor from the district in 20 years. That's a problem. And so we were there, we're starting it. It's gonna take years, and I wanna try to do it.
I believe this is a joint responsibility of the board and administration. We need to support administration and the administration's dialogue with the community. We need to be out there with them. We should refer complaints to administration or direct community complaints to the appropriate management level or school principal. We should also be open to listening and being a conduit for suggestions or recommendations coming from the community.
As was just mentioned, I think part of communication is also listening. So listening to what our constituents have to say, what their opinions are, what they would like to see. That means not just people in the public, that means our students, our teachers, the administration, board members. We need to listen to what their expectations are, and we need to communicate those with other board members, with the administration, and we need to work towards those goals and share what we are planning on doing, what we are trying to do, how are we going to do this, and keep those lines of communication open. I have people, as a board member, I have people messaging me, calling me, stopping me when I'm out in public and asking questions, and we really need to make ourselves available when people do have questions and be able to refer them to the right sources if that is something that is not something I can handle or answer. And I think the board in general is doing a great job of that. But I guess just letting people know that we are here and we want to help and we are approachable. Please come to us.
All right, well, the top 3 priorities from a survey that we sent out for the Board of Education, this was voted on by community and teachers and such. The first was the facilities referendum, the second was the operational referendum, and the third was staff retention. How do you think that the board can prioritize these topics?
Well, this is gonna be a quick answer. I think they already have. What you have in front of you is an operational referendum on the ballot on April 2nd. With that referendum, staff retention is being addressed and prioritized as well. It's all right there. Next up, assuming we get a passed referendum, the facilities referendum will be addressed in November. So the board's done a great job.
So these 3 topics, the facilities referendum, I think we've got a lot of support for this. Sam and Leah did a great job again setting up little learning sessions, touring the schools to see what's on the list of our biggest needs. And then the operational referendum, again, these listening sessions, going out into the community and informing people what our needs are and why we need these things. And then the staff retention, I think, again, we're doing a great job here. We've decreased our turnover by a lot. And I think, again, listening to the needs of the staff, we've also adjusted wages and salaries to be a little more competitive. We've adjusted benefits like vacation time, sick time, like that, to be more competitive with other districts. And again, it's just all about communication. We need to be able to communicate and listen to what people are asking of us.
Similarly, how can the board prioritize these 3 topics? I would agree, we are right now. It's happening. We split the operating, the facilities referendums because that was all in the same question in the survey last fall, because of how important that was to educate, to have these conversations, because it's confusing, right? The funding formulas and what we can and can't do and which bucket is spent and where. That's right, not easy to understand, and I've been looking at it for 3 years. And so by being able to split that and emphasize our facilities are important, here's all the red areas that we need to, make sure the ceilings aren't falling down and the sinks aren't rusting. That's all part of those red base plan stuff, but the decision to split that to me was really a powerful one to show that the people that matter most, right? The people in front of our students, our educators, our custodians and people behind the lunch counters, those are the ones that are making connections with them every day and help them get through whatever struggles they're facing and those learning challenges. So, right, we didn't want to have them both on the ballot, so the operating fails and the facilities passes, and then we're putting shovels in the ground and firing people at the same time, right? So that's really intentional and purposeful so that we can highlight and articulate operating, highlight and articulate the impact of the facilities when it comes to safety and drawing some open enrollment folks to our community, right? Those are all hinging on some of those layers. But I think the last piece of staff, was that time? Sorry, okay. Talk about that later.
Yeah.
So school safety was our number 4 priority from our survey. What measures do you propose to prioritize and enhance school safety, ensuring the well-being of students and staff?
So part of the facilities referendum did discuss school safety. There were things like entrances to the school buildings. What are going to be our main entrances? We're going to have one entrance and one entrance only, a secure entrance, versus several coming into the building at a time. And kind of to piggyback on that, the facilities referendum in general, there are a lot of needs within our schools. We have walls that are bowing in this school. The roof needs fixing. They're old buildings, and I think in order to actually be physically safe, we have a lot of updating to do, and just knowing what those things are, that's our first step. And then now we need to act on them in order to keep everybody safe and healthy.
For me, it's similarly. I proposed the two measures I proposed to address safety and well-being as passing an operating referendum on April 2nd, and then also doing the same with facilities in November. Both prioritize safety and well-being. Ashley just mentioned some of the facility side of things, right? Especially with safety at almost all of our buildings, except for Herman, were built or planned well before the late 90s in Columbine, and school shootings happen every single day in this country. And so we need to be able to create upgrades. We can't do that by just saving money for some of these capital millions of dollars of projects. That's where the referendum comes in, right? Southside, the bus lane, that's part of that $87 million package. But for me, the operating referendum, April 2nd, right, that's more timely. Also, how do you improve safety and well-being, right? That's gonna help our staff and our people do better things when it comes to maintaining the safety of their tools and equipment from our grounds, the clear practices, the signage for safety and procedures, and costs for training, and the sub-costs for our people to be out of the buildings. More school psychologists, a social worker, right? Smaller class sizes, social emotional learning curriculum, all of that has an operating cost. And so as you just saw, hopefully if you were here, all of those pieces are part of what will help us be safer, more well, and able to thrive in the future. So facilities, for sure, 1960s part of a lot of our district, from Montessori to the high school here, right? Like those are things that, why would people want to work? They will help with staff retention, operating. They will show that the community invests in public education. So those are all part of the bigger picture puzzle that hopefully we can articulate through community engagement.
Hi.
Did you say? Okay. Sorry, my ears don't work so well. And yell, yeah, hit me.
Well, I don't have too much to add to Ashley or Colin's well thought out answers. When I read this question, I was focused on safety and not so much on the facilities themselves, but I see that the board's role here is to assure that best practices are in place for safety, and that drills are done, and it's one of oversight. I'm not aware of any deficiencies in our safety for our students. I also expect that bullying policies are in place and that bullying is addressed as needed as well.
Our next question, how will you encourage families to choose our schools over others during open enrollment, and what strategies do you have in mind to enhance our district's appeal?
Yep. So, okay, first, I think my initial reaction to that is really just to continue to encourage families to do what is best for them and their kids. I mean, there's very valid reasons to open enroll because they want to go to school with their cousins because it's 45 minutes out of the way when you go both ways, right? Like a lot of those geographical things and other layers, I want them to do what's best for them. So that piece, but I also want to spend my finite time and energy on building Sparta into the best place we can be. That's to me how we would draw families and students and keep people here that would thrive here, but also being able to sharpen those strengths by putting some of those systems in place so that we can celebrate those strengths, but also raise the floor of the experience at the same time. So how do we do that? Well, I can't think of a better way than passing emphatically operating and facilities referendums in the same year. Like we have the ability to historically invest in Sparta education and still have a lower mill rate than in 2019, like based off of the numbers. So we can't do anything new without approval. That's the way the state works, right? And that's with the situation we're in because of a low spending district. Thank you, 1993 policies. But I don't want to sell anyone on anything they don't want to be at. I hope people choose our district because of what they see and feel and experience, and not because of shiny things or because of X, Y, and Z. So all of those, to me, facilities operating are part of contributing factors why students and employees leave our district for various reasons.
That's a really tough question. I've talked to some people about this, and what I've come up with is that I see the board members' role here as continued emphasis on projecting the positives of our schools and keeping that in the public eye, and the improvements that we're doing or working to do. I don't know that there's any way you can market yourself to surrounding schools, and I'm not convinced that that would be effective. Gaining perspective from families that leave the district, I think, is important. You may find some things that could be improved. I think we have to remember that there are a lot of overarching factors here with lowered birth rate and availability of housing and other things that we don't have any control over. So we have to do the best job we can to retain students, continue to follow up with those that leave, and that's about all I have.
All right. As I've mentioned before, this is kind of a bigger passion for me, is addressing the open enrollment out. And a lot of times I will hear parents talking about, yeah, my kid goes to Cashton, my kid goes to Big or whatever. And I have no problem messaging them, whether it's over Facebook or whatever. Can we talk? Why? Why did you choose to open enroll out? And sometimes it's just as simple as that's where my job is and it's easier for me to take my kid there. And I get that. Other times it's I don't agree with this teacher. Okay, then let's have a conversation. And then I need to communicate that, and I've communicated with Sam, I've communicated with other board members on this topic. And we need to find out why these kids are being put in other schools. And then we need to do something about it. If it's that they're having problems with a teacher, that needs to be addressed. If it's because of sports, well, we have that sport here. Why don't you want to play here? But I also think we do need to promote the positives that we have in our district too. We have an amazing theater and music department. We have robotics. We have several other extracurricular activities. We have sports year-round, several different sports. And I don't know if maybe people aren't aware of that. So promoting what we have and encouraging people to investigate those options.
I didn't hear you, Tim.
All right, question number 9. How will you address staff retention challenges and promote a positive work environment for educators in the district?
First off, I believe that passing the operating referendum sends a positive message that we value our teachers, and that's going to have a positive impact there, and that we're investing in them for the sake of our children. We have to be competitive to keep teachers. As far as a positive work environment, I'm not aware of any problems there. I believe that the teaching staff is treated with respect and as professionals. Perhaps a survey is worthwhile doing. What I've been able to determine, I believe that we have a positive work environment. Again, I'm repeating myself. We just need the community to reinforce that and pass this referendum. We also need to pass a capital referendum that we want our schools to be kept up and safe.
As far as staff retention goes, I think maintaining the staff that we have is crucial. Our kids build relationships with the staff. Our community builds relationships with the staff. The staff builds relationships with each other. So just all these relationships benefit everybody. So to maintain these relationships, we need to listen to our staff. What do you like, what don't you like? Last year we listened to them when it came time for their salary discussions. We want this, we need this. And and they let us know why. And just helping them to stay here meant maybe giving them a little more money, a little more vacation, a little more paid time off. But it's worth it, and that's what we need to do to keep them here. Our kids depend on them, we depend on them, and so we really need to listen to what they have to say to us.
For me, I think similarly to what's been said, I think we need to keep doing some of the things we have been doing. I think that first 18 months of this role has been a learning experience and very different than the last 18 months. And I think one of those factors that have helped us focus on staff is really prioritizing the relationships, not only between our employees, but also staff to students. And I think part of that was a board goal existed for the first time in I don't know how long, but many years from the board taking action and prioritizing those relationships through the social emotional learning curriculum, and how can we, not just the curriculum, but the focus, and how can we improve some of those layers there that will inherently make our educators more welcome and better able to do their roles, from improving discipline and student engagement and achievement and growth, all of those things, while inspiring some curiosity and resilience along the way. Focusing on that SEL, though, I think will help us give our staff that better work environment, like I said, but also give them tools as well, because they're also lifelong learners, hopefully. I think that other way, though, a more tangible way for me is similarly competitive pay, right? We just looked at that, of balancing that last year, the year before, with I think every single position, our classified staff, right? I want to say the median, if teacher salaries in Wisconsin kept up with inflation, it'd be like $67,000 per year. So that's a priority.
This will be the last question of the evening. Are there any topics that we discussed tonight that you would like to expand on?
Not really any new topics. I just kind of want to reiterate the fact that communication is so important between all of us. The constituents out talking in the community to each other, us as a board communicating with each other and with their constituents, educators, students, anyone, can come to us and let us know, what are you seeing, what are you wanting, what do you need, and we're here to listen. We want to make Sparta a great place to educate kids, and I hope that you see that we are really trying to communicate with you, and we want you to give us the same thing back.
I think for me, the only thing I'd like to expand on is the gratitude to all the students who organized tonight. This is cool. Thank you for the opportunity. It doesn't happen every community, every district, and I know it goes a long way to just having you all be here and help lead some of these conversations. Like, that's important to me. I didn't mention that before, but student voices really needs to help drive some of our decisions that we make. So, and also thanking you all for being here too, right? That you made this a priority on a Tuesday night in a busy time of year, right? Because you care and it's important, and we need more people in those same situations for us to be the best community we can be. So thanks for considering allowing me to keep serving. I know there's 2 other awesome options up here, but if you do want more, I do have handouts available later about my candidacy. So thank you again.
Wow.
I don't really have too much to expand on. I think Sparta is a great place to live and have a family, and I'd like to see this community invest in our children.
All right. Thank you guys so much for your time, and thank you for attending.
And thank you, community members, for being here, supporting and listening.